Ladies and gentlemen, as the last week of the NFL season wrapped up, the GOAT debate is heating up at an unprecedented rate between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. And I have to weigh in on this. I made a YouTube short / TikTok video about this, and a lot of people weighed in. So I wanted to make a longer video about why I think Tom Brady is the GOAT if Patrick Mahomes makes history winning his third consecutive Super Bowl. And we've never seen that done in NFL history. We've seen some great teams go back to back, but we've never seen a team win 3 straight rings, and that is currently what Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are chasing right now. We know that Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks of all time already so early on in his career. He's only 29 years old, and he is rapidly approaching Tom Brady in terms of accolades and really everything thrown into the pot. And we know that Tom Brady has 7 rings, the most in NFL history, and Patrick Mahomes at 29 years old already has 3. And a main question that people are asking themselves is, if Patrick Mahomes wins a third consecutive ring, 4 in total, is that enough to put him over Tom Brady, who won a total of 7? And in my opinion, I don't believe it'll put him over him. I think it is recency bias at its finest. And we know that it's so prevalent in sports. That's why a lot of people believe that Stephen Curry's maybe the greatest point guard of all time, or that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, and I'm not going to weigh in on that right now, but a lot of people in this generation are going to say that the guys that they've been watching are, of course, better than some of the all-time greats, and that's what we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes. And the debate I'm making right now is not who's a more talented quarterback, because I think you can put Patrick Mahomes up there with maybe Aaron Rodgers as the 2 most talented quarterbacks in NFL history. But right now, I'm talking about who is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. If you're in the Super Bowl and you need a 2-minute drive, who are you picking? Are you picking Tom Brady or are you picking Patrick Mahomes? And in my opinion, I have to pick Tom Brady, regardless of if Patrick Mahomes wins a third consecutive ring. And if he wins a third consecutive ring and ends up tying Brady with 7, I still wouldn't put him over TB12. And there are a few reasons why. We know that Patrick Mahomes has been unbelievable in the playoffs. Nobody has been able to beat him. Only 2 quarterbacks currently have knocked Patrick Mahomes out of the postseason. He only has 3 playoff losses. One of them is Joe Burrow, and 2 of the other losses are from Tom Brady himself. He is 2-0 against Mahomes in the postseason, and this is when he was in his 40s. This is not even when he's in the peak of his prime, and we know that Mahomes is in the peak of his prime. When Mahomes won his first ever MVP, Brady and the Pats knocked them off in the AFC Championship. And then a few years later in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady is now on the Buccaneers and they beat Mahomes 2-0 against him in the postseason. And Mahomes right now could potentially have 5 Super Bowls, looking at his 6th, if it weren't for Tom Brady. So I think that is something you majorly have to take into account. Now, a lot of people were saying, well, look at the offensive line that Patrick Mahomes was playing with in that Buccaneers Super Bowl. And I completely get it. It wasn't a great offensive line, but at the end of the day, I'm going to use that age excuse here. I'm going to use the age excuse. Tom Brady was in his 40s and he knocked off Patrick Mahomes. Then you want to go back to the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes won the MVP that year, and Tom Brady was in his 40s in the AFC Championship with all of those explosive weapons, with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, with Andy Reid cooking everything up, and we saw Tom Brady knock him off. And I think that alone goes to show you why I will never put Mahomes over Tom Brady if they both have 7 rings, or even if he wins his third consecutive one, pulls off the first ever three-peat in NFL history, and ties Brady, let's say in a few years, with 7 rings. I still wouldn't put him over Brady because he's 2-0 against him in the postseason. And I know there's still a lot of time for Mahomes to catch Brady right now. We see Brady at 15 Pro Bowls with Mahomes to only 6. I'm sure Mahomes will easily catch up to that. All pros. Brady has only 6. Mahomes has 3. I'm sure he will catch up to that as well. Brady has 3 regular season MVPs, whereas Mahomes already has 2. I can absolutely see Mahomes winning another few MVPs, honestly. And we saw Aaron Rodgers win back-to-back MVPs when he was nearing the end of his career, I believe in his late 30s, early 40s. And then we look at Super Bowl MVPs. Tom Brady has 5, whereas Mahomes has 3. And I understand that accolades are a major reason as to why Tom Brady is ahead of him right now. You can look at other sports. Let's look at basketball, for instance. Michael Jordan and LeBron James were never able to play against each other, so we never really had a great argument for that. I feel like because we were so lucky to watch these great duels between Mahomes and Brady, that we have to use that as probably the thing that outweighs it the second most behind championships. And I have to look at Tom Brady being 2-0, leading that late drive in the fourth quarter to tie it up, to force overtime, and then that gutsy drive in overtime to knock off Mahomes in the AFC Championship in an absolute thriller. And then you look at the Super Bowl, Brady lighting up that defense in a game that ultimately ended up in a blowout. And I know Mahomes was running for his life the entire time, but I just have to look at those two as like, hey, Tom Brady beat him in the Super Bowl. He beat him in the AFC Championship, and we were lucky enough to watch those guys play against each other. Yeah, you can look at all the accolades you want. If Mahomes ties him for every single one of him, I'm still picking Brady. Let's say Mahomes gets to 8 Super Bowls and Brady only has 7. You have to look at the 40-year-old quarterback that is Tom Brady beating Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And again, this is not a debate of who is more talented. I think we can all agree that Patrick Mahomes is unbelievably talented. The plays that he can make inside and outside of the pocket, his ridiculous arm angles, his mobility. Mahomes can really do anything you ask of him, whereas Brady was virtually a statue in the pocket, couldn't make those crazy sidearm throws, but he was just so accurate and he was so lethal, and you always knew that, hey, if the ball's in his hands with 2 minutes to go, he's going to go win that game. And I'm not doubting that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to play for another maybe 13, 14, 15 years. We saw Tom Brady play into his 40s, Aaron Rodgers play into his 40s. Barring any injuries, we're going to see Patrick Mahomes play for another decade plus. And as fans, we shouldn't look at this GOAT conversation as a way to pit these two against each other, because I feel like that's where the NBA has gone wrong. Everybody's just trying to pit LeBron and MJ against each other, and it's really become a crazy dialogue, honestly. And I think with Mahomes and Brady, both of these guys are so great. We see Mahomes not letting any of these other all-time great quarterbacks eat, like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson, even Joe Burrow. We've seen no quarterbacks in this era eat or even win at all. Like Mahomes has dominated over the past 6 or 7 years, and that was the same thing with Tom Brady. Outside of Eli Manning, none of those great quarterbacks ate. And so I think with Tom Brady and Mahomes, we just have to look at how special these two are, how great and how lucky we are as NFL fans that Tom Brady really handed that baton off to Mahomes, and now Mahomes is going to own this next generation for another decade plus. And I just think it's so great that Mahomes is such a great representation of the NFL, such a great face of the league. But at the end of the day, I still can't put him over TB12 if he were to pull off this three-peat, pull off NFL history, and or pull off NFL history and tie him with 7 Super Bowls. I still cannot put Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady. But let me know down below, do you have Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time, or is Patrick Mahomes rapidly catching him? I'm Caden Kubler, and thank you guys for watching.